Hi everyone, I'm Erin Thrower, and as part of the communications team here at Lake County, we wanted to share with you some of the good news and resources that are available right now in our community. And joining me today is Andrew Tangen with the Veterans Assistance Commission. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Erin.
So for those that might not be familiar, tell me what the VAC does and really what your role is there.
Yeah, so my role, the VAC is the Veterans Assistance Commission. We are the central service office for all veterans that reside within Lake County. So primarily our mission is to provide financial assistance to veterans who are in need, and also advocacy with state and federal agencies, as well as work with state, local, and federal legislators on putting forth bills and laws that are pertinent to aid our veterans. And my role as the superintendent is to act as the chief veterans advocate for all the veterans in the county.
Okay, wonderful. And tell me a little bit about your staff. What are some of the roles there, and what kind of maybe training or access do they need to be able to perform their jobs?
Yeah, so my staff currently, it's including myself, is 7 people. So we have myself as superintendent, then Sherry Cruz is the assistant superintendent. She has been here for 12 years. John Murray is our senior veteran service officer. Then I have Alex Zapata, Shane McNerney, and Jillian Petta Owen as our veteran service officers, and then our administrative assistant, Suzette Pollock. So that's the staff of the VAC. For training, so what we do is when somebody is hired from the VAC, we spend about 3.5 weeks taking them through all the different regulations and laws that are pertinent to veterans advocacy. They then are required to go to a national convention and go through an accreditation course that they have to pass and become accredited. And then every year they have to maintain their accreditation by going through continuing education courses that are both at the national convention and throughout the entire year.
So good-sized staff and lot of issues that you deal with, and issues that need to be resolved. One of those, especially right now, is financial assistance and temporary housing. How does your team help with that?
So one of the things that Lake County is very successful with is helping with homeless populations, specifically homeless veterans. And last year, Lake County was one of the few municipalities and counties in the country to achieve what's called functional zero. So functional zero does not mean that there's no veterans homelessness in the county. What it means is that we are at a point where we are not creating more homeless people that we can not serve, right? So one of the successes of getting Lake County to functional zero is community development, the VAC, James Lovell Federal Healthcare Center, the Sheriff's Department, PADS, and a couple other organizations in the county, to include the Al Lynch Medal of Honor Foundation, came together and created the Veterans Ambassador Program. And what we did with that was that we set up different ways that people could get to the VA into their homeless programs. And we provided shelter for people who were out on the streets, whether it was in the middle of the summer or the middle of winter. If the sheriff's deputy or another municipality police force found a homeless veteran, they could get them to the hotels that we have contracts with, and then we would do the back end work of contacting the VA to get the VA to pick them up and get them into the program. And since we already had that in place, when COVID started, we were able to use that to plus that up a little bit so that we could continue to have emergency housing available for veterans. And then working with the rest of the county government, we were actually able to work to have other alternative care sites or alternative housing for people that might have been in a position where they were either homeless and critical point of almost becoming homeless, or needed another place to stay based off of what was going on in their house with a COVID-19 case or what have you. So that's the emergency housing side of it. We also provide financial assistance to veterans who might have lost their job. One of the things that we're seeing now in the VA enterprise as a whole, is that post 9/11 veterans, especially those who served in Iraq or Afghanistan and were exposed to the burn pits, are actually at a higher level of potential negative consequences from a COVID-19 infection. So a lot of post 9/11 vets actually throughout the country have lost employment because of that higher level that they are. So we were here and available to provide emergency financial assistance to those who qualify and who need that assistance, whether it to be maintaining their water or gas in their apartments or homes, or for payments for their rent or mortgage payments if they need it because they've lost a job during the COVID-19 pandemic.
It's wonderful to see the VAC working with nonprofits to come together to tackle some of these challenges, for sure. Important issues there. What data or metrics do you all use, though, to see what you've accomplished, and how does that work?
So there's a couple of data and metrics that we use. One of them are our internal metrics. So we have spreadsheets that track every single person that goes into one of our hotels or uses us for emergency assistance, the amount of money that is expended. But we also rely on the federal government, and the VA actually has a entity called National Center for Veterans Analytics and Statistics that track homeless populations, that track compensation and pension payments, that show expenditures to each county. So all of those data points are used to craft the direction we're going to go in and what is going to be our priority for that fiscal year.
Okay, you mentioned the financial piece of it. Is there a need for the VAC? How do you obtain your financing, or what could you have that would better help serve the veterans of Lake County? What are some needs that you all have right now?
So one of the biggest issues that we have in the state of Illinois is that throughout the state, there's actually a lack of available services to veterans, and it's something that VACs throughout the state are working with the local governments to try and build that coalition together. So we've been trying to work during my tenure as superintendent to show the different points where we could achieve a broader and more successful reach of our veterans population. And one of the issues that we have right now is that the veteran population is actually decreasing right now. The vast majority of veterans in the country are 55 years and older. They comprise most of the peacetime and Vietnam, Korea, and World War II veterans. But Lake County is situated in such a way, with the Navy base being here, that actually Lake County's, according to the federal data, Lake County's veterans population is not going to decrease much over the next 25 to 30 years. So we're working with our county board members and with staff at the county to implement plans and policies that'll be able to create an organization that'll be what I like to term, it's a Ronald Reagan term, a shining city on a hill for veterans services, to basically build a template of a unique organization that can say, look, hey, every other county that has a large veterans population, this is something that we have done in Lake County that we've seen that has worked. It's a good template for you to start off on.
Okay, wonderful. It's great to see the planning there and the forward thinking, for sure. We mentioned COVID-19. Any changes to your services and how you're providing these things to veterans during this time?
Yeah, so one of our biggest things, and it's something that I actually love about this job, is actually being able to sit down with a veteran and their spouse and actually talk through their service and go over their records with them and talk through what exactly is available to them from either a local, state, or federal level if they need certain types of assistance. Because, like I said, our veterans population right now is 55 and older. Again, that is one of the high-risk categories for COVID-19. Early on, before any of the other shutdowns or national emergencies were claimed, we as a commission made the determination to not do in-person interviews, which again hurts us as far as like that connection across the table with one of our vets, but their safety is our paramount responsibility. So We switched our in-person interviews to phone interviews only, which has caused a little bit more time. So like, for example, for myself, I handle the vast majority of appeals for wrongly denied claims. So where it used to take an hour appointment, now it might take 3 hours because we have to go back and forth through email or fax and scanning and that sort of stuff to be able to build that package. For my other staffers who are doing the initial claims, sometimes that can take all morning or even a full day for one client, just because of the amount of work that we typically put into these cases. So that's been a little bit of a challenge, but it's definitely proven a concept that we can do remote, especially with our older veterans. Having the mail service being still available, we can mail the things to them now, which is also great.
Okay, good. I know we're all missing those connections, you know, personally and professionally. Is there anything you want to say, a shout out to the veterans and your friends that are out there? What would you say to them right now?
Yeah, so what I would say is that we're here for you. One of the things that in the veteran community that we know that's drilled into us from an early age in our military career is never leave a fallen comrade behind. And no matter what the situation is on the ground, we are not going to leave our veterans behind. And we will be here through this and after this.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you so much for sharing this information about the VAC with us today. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking care of our veterans who have served and protected our country and taking care of them during this challenging time. And thank you for watching at home. We hope to see you soon. Stay well, everyone.